Welcome back, viewers. Focus is on the big story. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has touched down in Tokyo for a two-day state visit. While the visit comes as a part of the 15th annual India-Japan summit, which the Prime Minister will attend along his Japanese counterpart Shigeru Ishiba, the visit is expected to touch upon various areas of bilateral cooperation, and it also holds the significance as it is the Prime Minister Narendra Modi's first annual summit with his Japanese counterpart Ishiba. It is also his first standalone visit to Japan in nearly 7 years. Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri has added that the visit is going to be fully dedicated to the bilateral agenda between the two nations. The India-Japan annual summit will give both prime ministers the opportunity to conduct an in-depth review of the ties in the various sectors such as trade, investment, defense, security and science and technology. Both the leaders are expected to assess their progress made in the last few years across the multiple domains and exchange the views on the important regional and the global issues. Let's now dive into what all is on the agenda of Prime Minister's two-day visit, and also look at what can be expected coming out as a big achievement of this bilateral visit. Japan is going to set a $70 billion investment target for India. That is what the facets of this crucial meeting is going to be focused over, as Japan decides to double down its investment in a private sector in India. Now, the bilateral trade target to be revised to 7 to 10 trillion yen. Now, the way that India and Japan have been for a long time have been engaged in a bilateral trade, that is also going to have a boost. Now, co-development of an advanced system to improve the naval stealth capabilities is what also an agenda and likely positive outcome of this meeting is going to have, while the cooperation in the ship maintenance in India is also going to be another big takeaway. As we see that both the leaders look forward to have an amicable relationship. Special visit to the Sendai city, which is popular for the semiconductor power of Japan, that is also on the agenda, as this is Sendai is a city which is having a very good production of the semiconductors. Now, new mobility partnership to further boost the Ahmedabad-Mumbai bullet trains. One big takeaway of this agenda of Prime Minister Narendra Modi to Japan is also to speak about the manners in which India can also have in fact its own interception in the bullet trains, as the next thing that we focus on is the AI cooperation initiative for the emerging technologies. On the areas of bullet train or on AI, the agenda is focused for the developmental in various separate sectors. Special arrangement for the exchange of 5 lakh people in 5 years. The people-to-people ties are also very important for both the Asian nations, and if we speak of this very agenda, it also is going to have more incoming of the abroad, the foreigners from Japan, and more Japan citizens to India to also learn and contribute into various sectors. All right, viewers, now if we in fact have to move on, another agenda is going to upgrade the 2008 joint declaration on the security cooperation. That is going to be a very crucial agenda for the meeting, as a security cooperation, and also have an agreement over enhancing the security cooperation initiatives is going to be another key agenda. Now, reviewing the special strategic and the global partnership between India and Japan is of course going to be on the dais. Now, viewers, on that note, it's time to also look at other facets of this very visit. Now, joining me live on the broadcast is a very special guest. Speaking to me right now on the broadcast is Mr. Aftab Seth, who is the ambassador and a former Indian ambassador to Japan. All right, Mr. Aftab joins me live on the broadcast. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us live. And we see that there is a very positive anticipation of this crucial visit by Prime Minister Narendra Modi to Japan. How do you look at this, given the time also that the Asian nations are continuing their efforts to deepen the relationship through many ways. One is strengthening the economic and the trade relation. Other is also engaging to boost the people-to-people ties. What is your, in fact, analysis, and if we speak of, what is your first thought over how does this visit actually boost the ties and relationship with Japan, that of India?
Thank you. May I see somebody that I'm speaking to? I can't see the person that I'm speaking to. But anyway, I'll crave your indulgence for giving you a slight historical background to the India-Japan relationship in the 21st century. Let us remember a few very important facts. In 1999, the Indian Navy and Coast Guard rescued a Japanese ship which had been taken over by pirates in the Indian Ocean. It was the Alondra Rainbow. That rescue by our Navy and our Coast Guards was a turning point in the perception in Japan of the value of India as a strategic partner. As a consequence, George Fernandez, who was then the Raksha Mantri, was the first Indian defense minister to visit Japan in January 2000. It was followed in August 2000 by a very historic visit of Prime Minister Yoshiro Mori, who came to India in August 2000 and signed with Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee the global partnership between India and Japan. That was the beginning of the defense and security relationship. And more than that, what you mentioned just now in your summary, the people-to-people relationship began then. It was that visit which opened up the visa system, and scores and hundreds of young, talented Indian engineers and IT experts started pouring into Japan in large numbers, and that was the beginning of that relationship. It was followed in April 2005 by the visit of Prime Minister Junichiro Koizumi, who came to India and initialed the Delhi-Bombay Industrial Corridor project. That was the beginning of that. In December 2006, Prime Minister Manmohan Singh and Prime Minister Shinzo, the late Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, expanded the global Indian-Japan partnership to a strategic global and Indian partnership. This was very important because the first naval exercises between India, Japan, and the United States took place in April 2007 in the Indian Ocean. And this was followed
after state, in fact, I would like to also take your attention to the fact as well that I see that there has been much said about how exactly the relationship is reaching a new height. And I commend you for also giving us those insights. But at the same time, you know, it is also of much importance how we think that going forward in the future of many technological advancement, how do you think that India is also going to be a big beneficiary from this relationship? It is important to understand that as far as bilateral trade is concerned, India in the past few years through its diplomacy and through other ways has been engaging in direct trade ties and direct negotiations as well. So these are many sectors where Japan can contribute extensively, where the engagement would also boost a lot of technological and more advancement in many sectors in India.
Your point is well taken, but all relationships, I will repeat, all relationships are incremental, and you cannot see the present relationship without understanding that every visit of a prime minister or every visit of a leader. Let me tell you another thing, that the present Prime Minister of Japan has a background with India. Do you know that? Perhaps you don't. But let me tell you that when he was the defense minister of Japan, he became the first defense minister of Japan to visit India in May 2003. So we're talking about 22 years ago. This man, Shigeru Ishiba, is not new to India. And therefore, He's been Prime Minister now for a little over a year. We must understand the background of things before we understand the present. So pardon me, in going back to the strategic relationship which you mentioned of 2008, that was the basis. People-to-people relationship has expanded. You have yourself mentioned that trade has expanded. The Delhi-Mumbai corridor, the Shinkansen, which is the bullet train project, which was mooted almost 20 years ago, is expanding. Things are expanding, but most important aspect of the relationship is the strategic one. And that has been an incremental development over the last 25 years, starting in August 2000. So what we see today, the expansion of the strategic relationship in the context of what is happening in China, in the context of a slight dip that has taken place in our relationships with the United States, it is important that Japan, which is the fourth member of the Quad, to see if we cannot revive that kind of worldview of that Australia, India, Japan, and United States shared until a few years ago, in fact, till last year. So what we look for in the present visit is certainly an expansion in all these sectors, a strengthening of the strategic relationship, and a further understanding that with the shrinking population of Japan, the potential for Indian assistance, if you like to call it that, in manpower terms, is quite large. It includes specialized people like nurses, home care people, of course, continuing experts in information technology, and now in artificial intelligence, which is an expanding area and where Japan has made considerable strides. And of course, in chip manufacture, the Prime Minister is going to Sendai, you mentioned. Tsukuba is another great science city of Japan. And this is where all the high-tech industries of Japan are located, not all, but many of them. So our potential is high, especially in the sophisticated industries that we need for further expanding our economy and protecting ourselves from the buffeting that we have received in recent months from certain actions that have been taken by other countries.
Well, absolutely. As in fact, you have mentioned very correctly about the strategic front, where you have given much insights into that, how crucial it is. Now, the two countries are also expected to revise the 2008 Joint Declaration on Security Cooperation, which is going to reorient the security and the defense partnership in accordance with the contemporary realities. So that is the proposed economic security initiative, which covers semiconductors, it also covers critical minerals, it covers pharmaceuticals, energy, clean energy, which anchors Japan more firmly with India's quest for a diversified supply chain. Now, also, if we have to put more light on other significant sectors, is the upgrade of their digital partnership, which is now expected to cover artificial intelligence as well and the startup ecosystem. These initiatives are going to place the India-Japan ties at the forefront of the technological and security cooperation in Asia. So, how do you look at so much that's happening, given that, you know, this is going to be in a direction, if goes well, is going to bring a lot of big boost in the trade, the lot of fortune for both the nations through this relationship?
Yes, that is right. You have to remember that the security relationship, the 2008 one, has certain elements of safeguards, safeguarding the technology that Japan may transfer to us in the field of defense. Now, this is important to strengthen that, to give them the assurance that whatever technology is transferred to us will remain with us. And their technology is safe in Indian hands. We have a good record of not proliferating technology that we may receive or we may develop to other countries. We have a record going back 30 or more years, 40, 50 years actually, of not sharing technologies that we have developed or that we may have received with others. Therefore, we have to reassure the Japanese that Indian hands are safe and that whatever sophisticated technology they may transfer to us in the way of joint ventures or in the way of wholly owned enterprises is safe in Indian hands. This assurance is very important, and that we are reliable strategic partners who will carry our weight and contribute to not only the bilateral relationship, but to the safe, open Indo-Pacific region, which was a concept developed by the late Prime Minister Shinzo Abe and Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, that we must have a safe, secure, and peaceful Indo-Pacific region. So we have other partners in the region that we are very close to, for example, Vietnam, for example, Indonesia, and most recently, the Philippines, where we had an important bilateral visit. So the region of the Indo-Pacific, starting from Japan, coming down through the Philippines, Vietnam with a 3,500 long coastline, Indonesia, which is an archipelago and which sits only 90 kilometers, the northern tip of Sumatra, 90 kilometers from our Andaman Islands. It's a very close naval neighbor of India, the closest. And these countries, working together with India and Japan, can form an important element of stability and peace in the Indo-Pacific region. That will be an important focus, in my opinion. I have no inside information, but this, I think, will be an important focus in the present visit to Japan. Thank you.
Most certainly, sir, and it is in fact indeed a pleasure to have learned from you about these sectors, and really appreciate the analysis and the insights for this present scenario that India currently is going to also focus and build over with Japan, and really appreciate you for adding more perspective to this conversation. Thank you very much for joining us this morning and speaking to us on this very special story.